Welcome to Layout Teardown, where Ben and Brock explore the websites of the biggest publishers to unravel their ad layout strategies and their programmatic advertising techniques.
In this episode, we're taking a look at BuzzFeed.
Hello, and welcome to episode 6 of Layout Teardown, where we bring you through the website ad strategy of some of the biggest publishers globally with myself, Ben.
And I'm Brock.
And today we're going to go through BuzzFeed, which is a very popular global publisher. They kind of spearheaded that viral content ad strategy. They came about at the start of Facebook when it was really blowing up and really got into the algorithm and built kind of viral content. And they've got a really interesting ad-heavy strategy that's really focused on maximizing monetization, which is interesting to review. We're going to go through desktop, then mobile, give you our thoughts. You hear from the guru Brock, and we will jump in now. Okay, so first we're going to open up some of our Chrome extensions and get into some of the data that we can see here. So jumping into our friend SimilarWeb first to get an understanding of the traffic that they have. So I'll pass to you, Brock, but pretty good traffic going on here.
Yeah, massive volumes. And you can kind of see a good spread of countries there, and it makes a lot of sense. US driven, or tier 1 country driven, which means they're probably going to have a pretty healthy CPM.
Yeah.
In terms of traffic sources, you can see search leads the way, which I think makes the most sense. I don't know if I hate to admit it, but I've done a few BuzzFeed quizzes in my time, and it's always been through a obnoxious search query through Google.
Right.
So maybe I'm part of the 45%, but logically that would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
And if you scroll back up to the top,
yeah,
really what we're trying to look for is the average visit duration. Like, as you said at the start there, Ben, you've got people sitting here sort of clicking buttons, moving through a slideshow or moving through a quiz. 2 minutes is plenty of time, and in their case, plenty of time to get a lot of good ads served and make them as viewable as possible.
Yeah, the surprising thing for me is just that social isn't super high here as a referral source. I don't know if that's a new trend, but I always thought like a lot of traffic would have been coming from Facebook and stuff like that.
Yeah, it probably is the case. Like 6% of 92 million or whatever the number is still plenty.
Yeah.
But I would think that you're getting a lot of referral outside of Facebook and outside of Instagram most likely.
Right.
But it's the way that I personally use it, and I've seen it being used.
Yeah.
It's always been through some sort of search algorithm.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, we're jumping into Professor Prebid to get a handle on the kind of ad tech that they've got in place. Kind of first thing we can see, they've got a number of different ad units set up. Relatively simple. Those are requested sizes coming through there?
That's right. So this will give you an understanding of all the sizes that you are requesting per ad unit.
Right.
In this case, it looks like they've got a fairly innocuous ad unit code, which is interesting. So perhaps they've got some server-side rendering or an interesting naming convention that isn't obviously human readable, but there might be some obfuscation, or whatever that word is, going on.
Yeah.
But generally, a pretty standard mix of bidders that I can see on the right. They've got a combination of your standard SSPs, traditional partners I can see in there, like OpenX Nexus, and then it looks like they've even got a few of the rebroadcasting / reseller types as well, like Rise. I thought I could see there.
Yeah.
Probably Ozone to an extent.
Yeah.
Which that really means they are looking to maximize yield. There's perhaps a little knock, shall I say, in the industry for using sort of resellers and pushing inventory out through other channels with extra hops from a transaction point of view, but these guys provide a lot of value in various ways, particularly signal optimization, traffic shaping, these kind of features. So I would say that's probably a positive thing for them to get a bit of extra cash. Yeah,
it's a funny one because it's positive on the publisher side because you still, whether or not they're bringing a lot of their own demand, they're increasing CPMs. There's more demand coming through that pipe. But from an advertiser perspective or a DSP, they'd really rather it be a single line straight through from the advertiser to the publisher.
I think this might take a bit of time, but hopefully in the future we see a bit of evolution there. These guys can offer value for advertisers as well.
Yeah. Okay, having a little look in the config, I can see they've got a ton of IDs in place.
Pretty usual setup of more is more on that sense. And my guess is with their tier 1 traffic, they've probably got a lot of Safari traffic as well.
Right. So trying to make up for cookieless environments in there.
That's right.
And then they've got, it look like they've got some price floor tooling in there that's dynamic, maybe from Rubicon. I think, or Magnite.
My guess is it's a demand manager setup. So they're using a hosted Prebid, and we can check the console if we need to, but generally what that means is they are focusing on what they do best, which is probably making quality quizzes, content around the key trends that they touch, and leaving a lot of the hardcore Prebid minutia to a third party or to an SSP in this sense.
Yeah. So generally strong ad stack there with lots of partners. They're probably going for the maximization of programmatic versus maybe preserving data or kind of direct, maybe?
Possibly. I think with their brand, they are afforded the opportunity to do both.
Right.
Definitely get as much as you can through open market, through open auction, and probably even curated semi-open auction deals. But like this is a brand everybody knows. It's good US traffic.
Right. Most
likely they'll have a very robust direct strategy and or programmatic direct.
Yeah. Okay, so let's jump into the layout where we've got a few interesting things going on. So what's the first thing that jump out of you here as we scroll down the page?
Yeah, I think this is by design in terms of jumping out, but the above the fold 970 by 250 right at the very, very top.
Yeah.
So maybe give it a refresh and see what happens. But my guess is for the unfortunate soul that doesn't have a super quick internet, they're going to get a bit of layout shift, and you can kind of see it there. I think it's probably not a huge problem for them. Obviously, search was a big thing, but they've done a little bit of work to protect against it, i.e. they got long content, so the relative impact is not too great, but they've also put in some min heights. So when you refresh that before the creative served, there was actually a little bit of space afforded to it. So perhaps some of the time they're running a 970 by 90 or 728 by 90 and the user's not affected. Yeah. But either way, again, it's big brand, it's above the fold, it's high impact creative. They'll probably be able to do a bit of sort of video within banner stuff there. My guess is that's a pretty high performing unit relative to the rest of the page.
Yeah, because if you were a different publisher, you're above the fold, got some push down, that's not good for your CLS or your Core Web Vitals generally, but they're just making a trade-off here, really.
Yeah, that'd be my guess. One thing that would be interesting, which we obviously don't know today, is how much interaction they get out of the burger menu and the rest of the buttons. Yeah. If people are interacting with that semi-frequently, then that's going to be visible. You're going to get a good viewability score there.
Yeah. Okay, next one that pops out to me is this super interesting little 300 by 50 here. So basically a mobile size. They've put it as a little sticky that can kind of be pushed away like that, which is pretty unique. I haven't seen one like that before.
Yeah, I think the traditional approach really is to have a 720 by 90 down there, but have it centered. Yeah. My guess is they've decided to maintain the high viewability impressions and probably a lot of refresh opportunity there as well. Yeah. But not inhibit the user's readability. So instead of having something that sits central of your screen, over your content, particularly when you've got like what we have in our example, we've got a big video that's taking up most of the viewport at present relative to content, and a big leaderboard, like that might not be great. Yep. They're still getting the benefit of volume. So from a metrics point of view, plenty of impressions to fill. Yep. Super high viewability, out of the way, closable, which is nice. Yeah. The trade-off they've made there is it's small. It's a small.
For a desktop, it's pretty small. But it's going to pull up viewability across things, and it kind of fits in nicely. It doesn't impact the user.
That's right.
Next thing is just there's a lot of video going on. So they've managed to get quite a lot of video throughout the first few slots from what I can see.
Yeah, it's interesting because it looks as if there's 2 or 3 video opportunities before the user even gets the content.
Yeah.
So I'd have questions around view through rate and interactions like that.
Right.
It's hard to say without the data.
Yeah.
They do a good job of maintaining identity past that point.
Yeah.
But they're probably also able to sell quote unquote above the fold video.
Yeah.
Even though it's outstream technically.
Yeah.
Which might still yield a decent CPM, and the trade-off might be worth it.
Yeah. Apart from that, seems to be a lot of direct coming through. So there's clearly quite a lot of direct sold across the site. They're refreshing direct, which is interesting. A lot of publishers will decide not to refresh direct to kind of maximize the quality of that inventory for their advertiser. But it's a decision. And they got some nice lazy loading. So everything's lazy loaded. It's a super long page. So you'd want to be doing that. And they've got this nice little mini scroller piece, as we call it, where the ad is just sticking within its container as we scroll. So some cool stuff in there. Yep. Okay. And we scroll the whole way. So the last half of the article actually doesn't have much advertise or ad units within it, which I guess they've just decided they've put them all up where you're most likely to see it. But I would have probably just had a few recur, after X paragraphs or something like that.
Yeah. One potential reason for that is just average scroll depth by cohort or by quartile.
Yeah.
And it might be the case that on desktop or in this genre of article, there isn't much relative to others, and therefore, what's the point?
Yeah.
It's still going to be high viewable. Like you will lazy load it on a long page like this. So there's a counter argument on how much of an impact negatively could it possibly have. But yeah, maintaining your supply, even though you've made decisions like plug a 320 by 50 in all cases, it might just be a pruning mechanism.
Yeah. And then we've got basically infinite scroll after the article. So we've got these kind of related post modules, and we've got a big billboard in between every single one. So if somebody does scroll forever before finding some clickbait, they'll be advertised and monetized.
Yeah, it's infinite high viewable 970 by 250s.
Yeah.
The advertiser's dream.
So we're going to look through the mobile layout now. Before we jump in, we wanted to quickly touch on their audience strategy. So we had a quick look at some of the targeting on the page and wanted to pull this up a little bit and talk through it. A lot going on here. Obviously using Cumulative as their DMP. Any interesting things to take away from what we saw within here?
Yeah, I think the message for everyone on this is there's probably a few things happening. One, as you mentioned, DMP and actually doing some sort of user segmentation, but there's also a lot of, I want to say contextual segmentation happening, but not only for the purpose of advertising through some sort of pipe, be it SSP or direct. That definitely is happening.
Yeah.
But I would also hazard a guess that they've got internal layout A/B testing built in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So there was a few in there around like not safe for work's a really easy one.
Yeah.
Add
density.
Yeah, that's right. Add density by desktop, by mobile.
Yeah.
The addition of like a shoppable unit.
Yeah.
What that looks like from afar is every time they do make some sort of layout change, or even just generally an advertising change, they're passing some value through. They're perhaps running an A/B test, or simply just running some analytics on it.
Yeah.
But that's generally pretty good from a best practices point of view. We're a big proponent of send values and report and run experimentation, and this would be a good method to do so.
Yeah. So I guess we can see they're definitely doing some experimentation and A/B tests. They're definitely, categorizing this. They've got the sentiment as positive for this one versus negative. So giving themselves some kind of, ability to sell their audiences in certain ways. They've got the DMP as well to segment out audiences in there. Okay, let's jump into mobile. So we've gone with a quiz page this time, slightly different layout to kind of bring you through probably a high traffic section of the website. First thing we can see, we've got similar to desktop, we've got the top unit above the kind of menu and logo. Generally, it has low viewability. Like, I know what you mean about if people are interacting here, you've got at least something there. But from our customers, often that's kind of like a 30% viewability thing, depending on speed of page load.
Yeah, I think it is a much more attractive unit from a metrics point of view, maybe not aesthetically, on desktop than it is mobile.
Yes. Yeah.
And think about it, like a lot of people will be on dodgy 4G connections on a train. Like, that's never loading quickly.
No, definitely not. And then we've got our mobile sticky. So it looks like it's the same kind of unit that was on desktop, same size. So we've got our first question that we've answered here, and I got it wrong, but I didn't read it, I promise. And we've got an ad unit on page. We've got a simple 300 by 250, but it's kind of, it's within the window of what you'd be using.
Yeah. It's not obvious that there's any native happening in this sense,
No.
which would add a little bit. You could also look at things like interscrollers, but perhaps they're running those programmatically and we can't see them.
Yeah.
It's the rule of thumb is when you're attacking your first MREC, or your first 300 by 250 on mobile, that should be your masterpiece in terms of a metrics point of view and options point of view. So I would like all publishers to have a think about what's happening within one fold and perhaps even two folds of the viewport. So we're not talking about what's happening with your above the fold stuff that's just going to run and be a volume play. Get an MREC within one fold. That's where users are going to be. And then why? Because people have this thing that they do all day is they scroll.
Yeah.
And you see that, like, kids these days on iPads are experts at it. I've been caught in death spirals on Instagram as well.
Yeah.
All you're really doing is flicking. So if you are waiting for anything to load on your mobile, by example, either you're going to bounce or you might scroll.
Yeah.
I would be very, very surprised to see that there'd be any data that BuzzFeed had that didn't back that up.
Yeah.
Which means you're loading your ads in parallel with that behavior, and most likely your user's going to end up 1 to 2 folds below.
Yeah.
So you want to get them, you want to hit them with the ad creative, particularly if it's high impact, like an interscroller or some sort of rich media format. You're going to get them where they are, get the viewability impact, get the viewability metric, and yield really highly, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and the layout's generally pretty simple. Not a lot of video. I would have thought maybe it's just not one, or they've not got it across this quiz.
Yeah, it's tricky with video on mobile. Again, it's the same thing. You're loading a heavy bit of content.
Yeah.
It might be a decision by the BuzzFeed team to not go through that pain.
Yeah. Key takeaway is, though, for each question, I've got an in-view unit that's probably performing extremely well. It's got great metrics. It's near clickable content, so often you've got pretty good performance from it as well. So well thought out, well put together, in place. I think the small ones we had there, I would definitely be testing video, and then some kind of rich media stuff like interscrollers as well. Feel like an easy win there too.
And you can do a pretty well done sticky video.
Right.
There's vendors out there that offer
like Ogre and stuff.
Correct. You can scroll through type video where something pops up in 15 seconds, disappears, so it's not too intense on the user. Alternatively, your traditional video players will offer you close buttons and other maintenance factors that you might want to maintain the user experience. Yeah.
And then we've got our infinite scroll of related posts that we could go into that kind of goes on forever and gets that long tail of users that might get stuck on what they're going to look at next. Okay, so that was the BuzzFeed layout teardown. We went through their, from their content strategy. They're really the data kings when it comes from making viral content. And we can see that they're doing that across their monetization strategy too. We saw in the targeting, there's some A/B testing in there. Their layouts are, extremely well built around the content type that they have. Great ad density in there, going for that programmatic heavy kind of push.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job in summary of balancing the needs of the direct PG business and keeping the lights on with the open auction.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it. And thank you so much for watching.
If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a comment if you learned something, subscribe if you can.
And we will see you here next time.